Hello, preschool peeps.
Hi.
Welcome aboard another episode related to these crazy times we're living with. But I think what Alison and I were discussing today is sort of how we might focus some of these episodes now, which is on moving forward. And so that's kind of the theme of today's episode, along with what we can teach children about acceptance of things we can't control during this time, because I think that's a monumental life lesson on a good day. That there are, right? There are things we can't control, and we have to let those go, and we have to accept and then make good decisions with the things we can control. I think that's a primary early childhood and life lesson. I think it's a lesson some of us have spent a good part of our adult lives learning. And some people may still be. You know, kids, they are watching us all the time, and they're watching you all the time, and they take their cues by how people around them react to things. So I wonder if we model acceptance of things we can't control, if they will grow up with a better understanding than our generation did, maybe, that there are just things that happen. You know, somebody said to me, Alison, recently, something about young people and what they're going to get from this. And I said, maybe young people will just have a part of who they are because they're learning this so young, that things happen and then you adjust and go on. Right? And
I think it's a good lesson. Like, I think that these guys, these young people, these kids are going to learn a lot of stuff that we never learned because we didn't have to go through this. We went through something else maybe that taught us something different, but they get to go through this, and this will teach them a lot. You know, like, I think they'll be more adaptable, you know, more resilient, you know.
I hope so.
And maybe just be like, hey, anything can happen at any time, so you need to be grateful for what you have, kind of thing, and make the most out of it. And there are heroes everywhere, kind of thing. I mean, there's so much they can learn from it.
And I think that in this time, you know, I've reached the point now. What are we entering, Alison, you and me? Week 11? Are we at week 11? We're almost at 3 months.
I think it might be week 12.
I don't know. Who knows anymore?
We can't keep track. I don't even know what today is, and you want me to know what week?
I don't know. So we're definitely like somewhere around 3 months, and where we live, they're very slowly starting to lift some of the stay-at-home orders. What they're opening are things that can be done outdoors, basically. But not with crowds. You know, there are still a lot of restrictions on it. It's not like anybody's opening anything up here and being like, go, 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 everybody go. Yeah. It's not like that here. And frankly, I'm kind of glad for that. So for sure. You know, I think now I've reached the point after all these months of some acceptance. There are things I can't control, the speed with which they reopen things, the rules they put in place to reopen things. There are just things I can't control. Right down to roots growing in and hair getting disheveled and nails that need to be
and weight that was gained or lost or whatever. Like
whatever weight gained or lost. Like there are things that I can't control, and for me, you know, there have been events in my life where I've had practice at this sort of having to accept something in the past, and so I've got a little practice in this, and I know that if I start to shift my focus to what can I control and what can I learn from this and how can I do my life even better, maybe, what will I learn? It helps me to accept what's happening. And I think that's a great lesson for kids. But I do think, I started to say, I do think that at this time, as government, many places, as they're moving slowly and deliberately, I think we're seeing, and people are realizing themselves that they were not taught to accept. And we're seeing people who they're having a hard time with that acceptance. And I have to hand it to the Buddhists. You know, they've got it going on when it happens, when we talk about acceptance. Buddhists would tell you that happiness should not be the goal of life. Acceptance of everything you feel should be.
That's a really good lesson. Mm-hmm. Because like everybody has this goal. Like everybody's like, your goal should be to be happy. Well, like,
what is that?
Sure. What does that mean?
It's not realistic. It's not realistic.
And it's not realistic.
Comes and goes.
Yes, and you can't expect to be happy every single day, but people who have been told this their whole lives think like, oh, I'm sad now, or I'm depressed, or I'm anxious, or I'm angry, or whatever. Now I failed because I'm
Right.
not happy. And that's
No,
not
it's
the
not a
way to
failure. It's
be. Yeah.
the pattern of life. It's the flow of
Yeah.
life. That
I
there are
know, but
times
like
that are
there
great
are,
and there are times where there's more of a struggle, right?
yeah. But there's
It's just a
generations
pattern
of
of
people
life.
that were told like happiness is your goal. Your goal is to be happy. Be happy with the one you're with. Be happy with where you live. Be happy with
Right.
your job. And if you're not, then something's wrong with you.
Well,
And
if you're
I think people are
not,
taught, yeah.
if you're
Well,
not, I
no,
think
if
what you
you're
need to
not,
do is accept that and say, I'm not
accept it
happy. Right.
and
I'm not
change it.
happy. You have
Yeah,
to say to
and then
yourself, I'm not
change.
happy. What can I change? And I think at this time, what many of us are experiencing is this. The government is making decisions now based on where we are, definitely based on science and data. So they're making decisions based on things that I don't fully understand, and I don't have all the information they do. They tell us stuff, but I don't have they never tell you everything.
They're not telling you everything. Yeah.
So they're making decisions based on the data and science that they have that are beyond my control. I cannot control their decisions. And so I have to wait for them to kind of tell me what's going to happen. I can't control what's going to go on with employment. I can't control that. So I have to start to think about, what will I do in my position, for example, as a consultant? How can I pivot things that I love to do so that I can do it from a distance if schools don't let me come back in? And that's highly likely, nor maybe do I even want to. It depends on the conditions at the time. And I can't make that decision yet. So there are decisions that are still I can't make. And there's other work that I do at home all the time related to my profession. So, okay, that will keep going. And I think we have to start thinking in these very okay, if this happens, I'll be okay because I can pivot this way, look that way, gives me a chance to learn and grow. I realized this summer I'm not going to be traveling. Instead, I'm going to take American Sign Language lessons online, something I've always wanted to do, but I think it'll be super helpful now. So what are you thinking about the things you can't control, Alison?
Well, I can't control how the Department of Education decides to open up school.
That's right.
So I can't control like whether they want to do a half day or every other day or how they're I have no control over that. I can control if I want to go back to that. So like if they decide, hey, this is what we're going to do. You're a teacher. You're going to be there every day, all day. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not ready for that. I can just maybe decide to go another career path. I mean, that's fine. Or I could accept what they do and trust that they have my safety and health in mind, I mean, but I don't have a control over how the governor or Department of Ed or my superintendent decides to open up schools. I just have to accept that hopefully they have all of us in mind, and then I can decide from there what I want to do and what I feel comfortable with, and I think a lot of people are in that kind of situation of like, okay, my employment opened up, is it safe, and they have to kind of go back to, they can't control that their employment open, but they can control how they go about doing it.
How they go about it. Yeah, not necessarily. I mean, people need to work, but how they go. I know a lot of people now reaching the point where they've accepted that they can't control how schools or childcare reopen, and that there are conscious decisions that they need to make as to whether they're going to proceed with whatever happens with opening, if they're going to try to see if there are other things available or other arrangements. I know many, many people giving this a lot of thought with children both in preschool and the grade school ages. A lot of people are thinking about it. College students are thinking about, what is my next move going to be? Do I risk dorming? Do I look for off-campus housing, even though I could sign a lease and end up closing again if they open? Do I just, do I transfer to something commutable? There's a lot of this conscious decision-making that's going to happen, but I'm going to submit this. We can't make good decisions if we haven't reached acceptance.
That's true.
Because you're too panicky and you're too in your head.
Right. And I think for a while there, like in the beginning, even on some of these episodes that we did, I was in panic mode. I remember
Yeah, me
talking
too.
about it. I was highly anxious. I had no idea what was going on. I had a fear if I left my house, I was going to get sick or make someone else sick. And I still have a little bit of that fear. And I think a little bit of that fear is good because it's going to keep me safe.
Right.
But I also have accepted, like, I can't control this. You know, I can't control if the virus hits the building I live in. I can't control that. I can't control that. So I've just accepted that, like, that chaos a little bit and be like, you're going to be okay. You know what I mean? It's going to be fine.
Because you'll make decisions. You know, one of
Yeah.
the things that we can teach kids is I can't control the other people. The other people
Right.
might not make good decisions, but we're going to sit together, this family, and make good decisions. And
Right.
and I think if children see their families sitting down and saying, you know, we're talking about decisions we're going to make about where we're going to go and what we're going to do, and here's what we're thinking, because I can't control the other people, but I can control my good decisions. How big a lesson is that for young children
Yeah.
as they get older, right? As
Yeah.
they get older, because someday they're going to be teenagers and their peers are going to make really bad decisions. And if they
Mhm.
have grown up from the time they're early childhood learners, hearing people say things like, I can't control the other people and I have to accept that, but I can control my movements and my decisions
Yeah.
and where I go. And I think that lesson alone for young children is worth its weight in gold. And if you can, if you are a parent and you're listening to this, and honestly a parent of a child of any age, and they get to see you, listen to you say that, and see you put it into action, that is so much more powerful than someday you looking at them and saying, well, you know, I don't trust other people. You have to make good decisions. All that stuff that parents said to us. Now is the time when we can really demonstrate it, because there are people who are going to make decisions at this time that you may not agree with. You know,
Right.
Alison and I were talking about a news article about someone who exposed a whole bunch of people, was COVID-19 symptomatic, had
Yeah.
symptoms, still went to work,
Yeah.
consciously exposed a whole lot of people. So I think if we teach kids, you know, I can't control the movements of other people, but we
Right.
can control ours, and we can make good decisions, and our good decisions help to keep us safe. From the viewpoint of a teacher, you know, I think we have to teach young children things like the hand washing, the mask wearing, all these things that are going to wear thin really soon on them,
Oh yeah.
that are new but are not going to be so novel. I think we have to teach them that doing it is a decision.
Yeah.
Doing it is us saying, I keep me safe,
And I
right?
keep others safe.
And I keep others safe, you're right.
Yeah.
And I keep others safe by wearing my mask. I decide that I care about people enough that I'm going to keep them safe.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep me safe.
Right.
So I think, you know, people who are struggling with acceptance, try it. Try this sentence. Ready? I accept that I can't control some of the decisions that are being made now, nor can I control the decisions of other people. I can decide what I want to do, and I have to respect other people's decisions too.
Yeah. I think that one of the things I saw, I think it was a meme, but I don't really know, was like, no matter what you or others decide, just be kind to people. Like and I think that that word be kind is like, I accept your decision. Like I was telling Cindy, like, yeah, the beaches in our state are open. If you want to go to the
See
beach,
where we are?
yeah.
See where we are?
I know. Do you see me? I'm in my house. Okay, and this is where I will remain for most of the summer.
We are home, yeah.
But I am not judging the people who need to go to the beach. You want to go
Right,
to the beach?
go.
That's great.
Go.
I mean, I think for some people's mental health, they need
Yeah.
that. They need to go
Yeah.
to the beach. They need to be in the sun. They need to be out and about. For me, I need to be here in order for me to feel safe. So like, but neither decision is wrong. Like it's
I
both
think it's
decisions
also
are fine.
I think it's also good. It's not bad for children to see you struggling with the decision. To say to kids, I would like to go, or I would like to go too. If kids say, can I go here or can I go? I would like to go too. Let's think about what's good about that and what's bad about that. And because you know as an adult that if you're thinking to yourself, I want to go, I don't know, we'll use the beach as an example. I want to go to the beach. and in your gut, in your soul, this panics you, then what's the right thing to do?
Right.
You know what the right thing is to do. And I think we have to teach children during this time to listen to their inner voice like that. It's a lesson to say to the kids, what do you feel deep, deep inside, right? And you tell them, I deep, deep inside, if you decide not to go, I deep, deep inside think we shouldn't go right now, that we should decide to stay home, because that's what makes me feel most comfortable. That's what makes me feel relaxed. Or if you decide to go, you can say to the kids, I think deep, deep inside that we should go, that going to the beach is going to make us feel a lot better and help us to stay home more in the future, whatever it is you decide. Right. But I think that you can't, and I'm going to say it again, you can't make these decisions without some acceptance. And acceptance of what you cannot control is an awesome lesson for children. Mm-hmm. Right? Awesome lesson to say, I've accepted it. It's kind of funny. A friend recently said something to me about the hair situation. And said something about, oh my gosh, I'm going to be first on the sidewalk in front of the salon when they open. And I said, this was my response. I said, I've accepted it. And now what I'm thinking is, do I want to just let my natural hair color grow in, which is like salt and pepper-ish? Do I want to let my hair grow longer? Do I want to not do certain treatments? Because I'll probably be washing my hair more often when I go out now. So is that a waste of money, right? Yeah. Like I've reached acceptance, and I'm sort of like, now I have conscious decisions to make. When I was still panicky, it was just, I can't wait to go back. I can't wait to go back. But now I'm like, everything is a decision. And that's, again, good for your children to participate in. And to see pro and con lists and all that. Yeah.
Right. I think everything now just takes a lot more thought. Whereas before, if I wanted to get my hair cut, I'd call and be like, boom, I'd be there next week, done.
Yep.
But now I feel like, and it's good for kids to see that, like, no, we really need to think about this. Is this the right decision? Yes or no? Why or why not? And then that kind of teaches them, like, wow, decisions aren't these like quick things that just happen. Like, no, they actually take a lot of thinking and a lot of smarts and sometimes some education and sometimes.
It's a good point.
Like, pooling from different aspects. Do I want my hair to get done? Absolutely. Am I going to be the first one online? Absolutely not. Okay. No. So, and that, and I was with Cindy in the beginning. Oh man, I can't wait. Oh man, wouldn't that be great if the salons open? Now I'm like, I think not. Yeah, I'm good, because there's worse things in life than my hair not being dyed or cut.
I had a most interesting conversation a couple days ago with a friend. We were talking about once they have a vaccine, right? This is all the talk now. Once they have a vaccine, what's it going to be like? Once they have the vaccine, are we going to then be afraid of a future pandemic once we have the vaccine? So I said to her something about once they have the vaccine, and she said, you know what, Sam? I'm not running. I'm not going to be first in line for that vaccine either.
Don't think I in the beginning I said I can't wait for that vaccine to come out, because that means I'll be safe. Now I'm like, how
quickly are they producing this vaccine, and how much have they tested it is going to be my question.
Right. Because, in a normal vaccine, there'd be years of testing, I'm sure, right? Or at least months, but
at least.
I don't want to be the first one online for that. I don't think either.
I think there was 1 year, I'm trying to think, maybe when it was H1N1 that they added to the flu vaccine, right?
Yeah.
I think they added it 1 year, and I remember going to my doctor, who I trust, and saying to my doctor, what do you think? And she at the time, if I recall correctly, she said to me, give it a year.
Yeah.
Give it a year. Right. She was like, give it a year. Let's see if the vaccine is all it's cracked up to be. And I thought that was decent advice at the time. I don't know if I feel the same way this time. I think, again, this is something beyond my control. I want to see how long they've tested it, what they've done. I want to hear from my doctor. That's what I want to hear. I want to talk to my doctor, and because I trust her, and I want to ask her what she thinks, because she's always the first one to say to me, do it when it should be done. I feel like I trust her, and she will give me decent guidance. And again, it's another hard decision. We have lots of these hard decisions.
I also don't want it to change, because I was one that I didn't usually get the flu shot, right? Because
I do.
I didn't. Okay. I went through years of getting it, and every single year I would get really sick, and I was like, you know what, what's the point? So I'm just going to go without it for a few years. And now that's the phase I was in right now, is like not getting it for a few years, and I've been fine. And just like in the beginning of this COVID crisis, I was like, man, never again. I'm never going without the flu shot ever again. That's it. And I was like, wait, why? And now I'm like, wait, like, don't let one thing change all your decisions. You know what I mean? Like,
True.
quickly, at least. Like, so for me, I'm going to be like you and discuss it with my doctor. Be like, listen, I haven't gotten it in 5 years and I've been fine.
Right. What do you think?
What do you think?
I think the what do you think conversation is totally legit. And I think, I don't know. Here's the thing. I guess here's the lesson of this episode. Adults, acceptance, try it. Just try it on for size if you're having trouble with it. And if you are somebody who's like, okay, I can accept there are things I can't control. I can look towards the things I can and the decisions I'll be making. Then please do that out loud for your children.
Yeah.
And teachers teach the children that we are making decisions, accepting what is by hand washing and wearing masks and making decisions to do that because, and schools are telling us to do that because it will save other people and maybe ourselves. So, I think people need to understand, kids need to understand the decision-making process. And I think part of the decision-making process always when you're making a major decision is acceptance. Even something right down to my car is so shot that I have to accept taking a car loan or a lease, right? Like it's all about acceptance because otherwise you would keep repairing that car. You would keep trying to, you get to a point where you accept it, where you say, I can't keep going like this. And I think that for those of us who've been here for nearly 3 months or 3 months, who knows? I think that reaching the point of, okay, this is our world now, this is it, and we need to look for other ways to move forward. All right, these episodes have been running longer than our typical episodes. If you're interested in our typical episodes, by the way, for a little lighter fare maybe, check out, they have been on podcast providers for almost a year now. We're almost reaching 2 years. Sorry, almost 2 years. So we're reaching 2 years. There's 2 years worth of back episodes on your podcast provider, on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And we're going to, so please check that out because YouTube we started doing during this crisis. So please go and listen. And we will catch you next time on How Preschool Teachers Do It podcast. Find us on Facebook. Go to howpreschoolteachersdoit.com and contact us through the forum with your thoughts. We love hearing from you. And then please share the news of this podcast. Let people know that you found it valuable and they should check it out. Sign them off, Alison.
Bye, everybody. Stay safe.